We're at Target right now, and there's a lot of controversy going on about all of the Pride stuff that's coming out with kids' clothes and things like that. So we're going to go to the kids section, and we're actually going to see if they're putting weird, creepy, uncomfy stuff on children's clothing. Okay, this is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer in the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence. So I found an extra small swimsuit in the child section. It says light binding effect on it. And then the bottoms in the kids section, keep in mind, say tuck friendly construction. They're giving it to your kids. If that doesn't give you a reason to boycott Target, I don't know what does. But this shit's getting out of hand. They're targeting children, whether you like it or not, and it's time that people actually do something about it. Because if they don't, then guess what? That shit won't just be in Target, it'll be in every store, ever.
A few moments later.
Target is being sued, y'all. And believe it or not, it's really not even their fault. Y'all remember when Target launched that Pride collection? And a whole bunch of right-wing conservatives came out the woodworks and was actually threatening the lives of Target employees, pulling up to the stores, actually destroying merchandise, physically assaulting Target workers, review bombing LGBTQ creators, leaving 1 stars on their products online so nobody would buy them. Well, somebody wants them to pay for the fact that they thought this was a bad investment. They said that Target only thought about diversity, equity, and inclusion, not the financial aspects. So in simple words, because Target didn't evaluate the risk of what diversity, equity, and inclusion could do, they got to pay millions. So what they trying to say is, you really just can't be nice and try to be inclusive of folks. You need to be worried about the risk that comes with it. The reason why this is dangerous for the rest of the world is because Target is a major retailer. That means that major retailers could be fear-mongered into believing that inclusion isn't a good idea, that there's something that could happen to them and that they could lose millions of dollars, if conservatives backlash. This means that retailers will always be at the hands of conservatives. If they could just throw a fit and embarrass people and harass people and cause physical violence, then they could punk you out of actually including people. So internet trolling really does have negative effects for marginalized communities. Because now Target can make an excuse for why they will never have another Pride collection. This means, those creators of those Pride collections, they don't get those dollars anymore. No matter how bad we want to talk about Target, they was still giving dollars to people that wasn't never seeing retail dollars before. Opening up and expanding them to an audience that would have never saw their work or been able to afford their work if it wasn't able to be produced at a mass retail rate as per Target marketing. And now here they go, trolling these people to the point where the risk is inclusion. I never thought I would say this, but I'm really on Target's side. Learning is loving, and I hope that you all love yourselves enough to learn how LGBTQIA hate can really manifest itself, not only from the internet, but to real life effects on real life people.
So as I was saying earlier, so our first story of the day is Target. Okay, so they released the earnings recently. And so I thought we were going to cover it because I believe that what is happening to Target marks as well as what happened with Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch is a very good thing for the conservative movement in terms of sending the message that you cannot force your lifestyle or your opinion on us. Especially, we will not allow you to shove your ideology down our kids' throats. That, in my opinion, what the backlash or the conservative backlash and the conservative boycott movement towards Target and Anheuser-Busch is about. Okay, so They've landed themselves right in the middle of how you call it, of these cultural wars for no reasons. And by the way, they're being sued because they were stupid. Instead of focusing on increasing the shareholders' values, they wanted to portray themselves as or to earn work points. Okay, so and bow down to some of the employees and whatever. So I think it's a good thing that they're paying the price for it. So we're going to look at the clip and then I'll come back to it.
Target earnings just crossing the tape. Courtney Reagan is here with the numbers. Court.
Yeah, Melissa, so let's get through this. There's a lot here. Target's second quarter earnings coming in at $1.80 per share. That's 41 cents above consensus. But the profit was not driven by sales. Revenue at $24.77 billion, below $25.16 billion estimated. Also slashing full-year earnings guidance. This even after this quarter's huge beat. So it's now expecting between $7 and $8. That's down from $7.75 to $8.75. It's also bringing down its sales expectations to mid-single-digit declines rather than low single-digit decline to low single-digit increase. Target's comparable sales down 5.4%. That is well below estimates for a 3.7% drop, also the first decrease since 2016. The retailer says discretionary categories again weak, while food, beverage, essentials, beauty, those frequency categories, those were stronger. Digital sales down 10.5%. That's the third straight quarter of declines and the worst performance since Target has been giving this number. Inventory fell 17% and lower markdowns did help to lift gross margins. Operating margins also better than expected. But at 4.8%, that's about half of the level where it was 2 years ago at 9.8%. On a call with media, Target CEO Brian Cornell pointed to macro pressures, including inflation, for tempering sales, but also, quote, negative guest reaction to our Pride collection. He also continued to say negative reaction to our Pride assortment and added, after adjusting mid-quarter to address safety concerns, the business recovered steadily in July. I asked Cornell to clarify that the response by some consumers to the Pride merchandise was material enough that it impacted sales, but then after Target removed some of the merchandise or moved it in some stores, the trends changed. He said, quote, you describe it very accurately. We only took actions in the month of June. We wanted to make sure we're focused on the safety of our teams and the safety of our guests. Once we took those actions and addressed the situation, we certainly saw things normalize. Now, the last time Target's comp sales were negative, as I mentioned, was 6 years ago, and that does correspond to the 4 quarters that followed the retailer's stance allowing guests to use whatever bathroom they choose for their gender identity. Though Target did say at the time that any lost sales from those boycotts weren't material enough to report. This time, though, they're calling it out, just not quantifying it. It's just, again, seemingly caught in the middle of these culture wars in a way that did seem to impact sales.
In the crime, the gangs.
So right. So we asked about the shrinkage in the release. There's only 3 words basically addressing that directly, and they said it was as forecast. So when they gave it to us last quarter, they said it was on plan from where it was, but that it has doubled in general, the loss from shrink since 2019. So that is still on par from where it was, but it hasn't changed.
It's not a non-material number.
Right. And Target is the only retailer that in my history of covering retail in 12 years that has ever quantified shrink when they gave us that number. Yeah. They gave it to us 2 times in November and then again last quarter.
Look at the stock. Closed at a low, but closed at 52.
Yeah, and I have to say this stock reaction is surprising to me mainly because of that guidance, to take down that guidance so far, especially after beating on profit. But there's a lot in this report.
I mean, it's down 20% in the past 3 months.
Exactly. Right. In stark contrast to Walmart, which is up 5% in 3 months.
The comparison chart is like mind-boggling.
It really is. It really is, and we often put these two together. But
big market cap. I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars. I mean,
billions of dollars to see that spread differ.
Yeah.
So you read it for yourselves, guys. So the point that I want to make here is very clear, right? So I'm going to read this article that gives us a little bit more of the details, and then I'll comment. So Target said the customer backlash in response to its Pride Month merchandise cut into sales during its latest quarter, compounding a struggle with cautious consumer and ending a 6-year streak of revenue growth for the retailer. The Minneapolis-based company said it expected sales to decline in the current quarter and lower its earnings outlook for the year, but investors welcome it better than expected profit and improved margin and inventory level, pushing the retailer shares 3% higher on Wednesday. Target's rollout this year of its Pride collection in the US collided with a cultural war. It's a cultural war, backlash over gay and transgender issue that also put companies including Walt Disney and brewer Anheuser-Busch in the sight of conservative commentator and customer. Brian Cornell, Target chief executive, said employees face harassment and threats. So let me just make a point. Anyone who will go to a shop like that to harass people, you're hurting the movement, okay? And I hope, and I know in fact that many of you, my listener, would not do that, but rather you would vote with your wallet. So which I 100% approve of, okay? 100% approve of. Keep it up. Keep it up. I approve of that. And so yeah, over threats with the celebratory goods, the retailer, which has sold Pride merchandise for about a decade and pulled some of the items. Okay, so Chief Financial Officer Michael Fidelka told analysts during a call that the traffic and top-line trends were affected by the reaction to our Pride assortment. Target comparable sales, a closely followed industry metric, were down 5.4% in the 3 months to July 29 due to a 4.8% decline in traffic. So the revenue was only 24.8 billion, down from 26.8 billion during the same period in 2022. The bottom line, so the net income soared to 835 million, with operating margin at 4.8% and inventory level down 17% from a year ago. All right, so and obviously they talk about as consumers have begun to factor in the need to start repaying student loans from October. Well, look, number one, that is just normal. So if you're a good steward of your money, you would not spend it on frivolous things when you know you have debt to pay, right? Call me old-fashioned, but yeah, I think my mother will give me a slap if I behave in such a irresponsible way. So the President Joe Biden's student debt relief scheme, blah blah blah. But yeah, so and also I don't see why, say, a person living in Wisconsin, a farmer living in Wisconsin, will pay for a kid in California. Plus, because we know that one of those kids, those students, actually look down on people like that. Remember the whole phrase of them, of people being deplorable that Hillary Clinton said, right? Now, you want those people to finance the future of your kids? No. I think there are ways to be productive members of society. And some people I've seen have taken courses at community college, earn a degree there that was not too expensive, and then have gone on to do bigger things. So plus I don't want it because it's not the topic of this video, but essentially it's just another way for the Biden administration to entice people to vote for them, which, honestly speaking, I don't think it's a good thing. So that's what I wanted to discuss with you. So let me know what you guys think. Is this a good thing, and where do you think we can take these conservative movements next. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, peace.